Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my beautiful angels. Today, we have another beautiful and amazing light workers, Lisa Tahir, who's actually a licensed clinical social worker, a host of All Things Therapy podcast, artist, and the author of The Chiron Effect, Healing Our Core Wounds Through Astrology, Empathy, and Self-Forgiveness, that has been endorsed by His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Lisa, it's such a pleasure and honor to have you on this summit. How are you today?
Veronica, I am so well. I have been looking forward to meeting you and connecting with our audience. This is a pleasure and an honor for me today.
You are considered the number one therapist in New Orleans, from what I found. And
Yes.
the question for you is, how did you end up on this journey? Was it something that you always wanted to do as a little girl? Like that was your dream? I want to become a therapist or a healer or a light worker this
I'm
journey.
nodding my head as you're saying these things, Veronica, because when I look back, it has always been my deepest desire to leave people and places better than how I found them. And my parents, in fact, found a note I scribbled when I was 5 years old saying that I want to be a psychiatrist.
Wow.
And yeah, and in my baby book, my mom wrote that when I was really little, I loved helping. And when I look back on my life, I've always been so curious about how things work, how people work, how our minds and our emotions work. And it led me when I was 21 to start therapy as a client because I knew I needed some help to unravel some of the things that I grew up encountering in my childhood and adolescent life, going through some abuse and trauma, and knowing that I didn't want to repeat those cycles. And so when I went into therapy to heal myself, I realized this is how I'm going to spend my life, helping others do the same.
Tell us a little bit more about the Chiron modality.
Chiron is both a minor planet and comet designated in astronomy that orbits an odd elliptical orbit between the planets of Saturn and Uranus. It was discovered in the mid 70s by an astronomer who named it after Chiron, the Greek centaur, who is the founding father of the healing arts, of pharmacy, of medicine. And when you go to the doctor today, and most doctors have the staff of medicine, it's the staff with the two snakes intertwined. That staff was given by Chiron to Asclepius, whom he tutored. So there are these really lovely references to Chiron as being a healer in mythology, as well as the work of Carl Jung, who spoke about the collective unconscious and this wounded healer archetype, the embodiment of the wounds, our challenges that seem to be universal in being human beings that will go through our lives and experience an abandonment, neglect, feeling cut off from our purpose or our creativity. And when I started to really lean into this, Veronica, I learned that the astrological placement of Chiron in your birth chart speaks to one area of vulnerability slash core wounding. It's on a spectrum depending on what kind of experiences you've had in your life. So Chiron will be in a sign like Aries, Leo, Gemini, just like your sun sign, your rising and moon signs, but it speaks to an area of yourself that you tend to hide or edit. You might not feel proud about it. And it could manifest as being really successful outwardly, but inside of yourself, you never feel like you're good enough. And we see this with a lot of successful type A people that are never quite satisfied with themselves and they cut themselves off from joy and happiness as a result. So I really want to help people heal.
So the first thing that you do when somebody comes to you as a client, you look at their birth charts and you find out where that is in their chart, and that's how you make an assumption of where they are and what they're dealing with.
I like to ask when someone schedules with me their date of birth, their place of birth, and if they have it, their time of birth, so that I know their Chiron placement. And I'll weave it in as it makes sense to. I always start with where you are, with what's most important for you. And I see things in images, I see words and pictures. So I'm really good at making a map from where you are today and how to connect that with past experiences as we get to know each other. And I'll weave Chiron in when it makes the most sense because I really believe in starting with you. And so you feel seen and heard. I think that's such an important aspect of healing.
In other words, it's like nutrition that by individuality, what that placement is in your chart is specific for you. There's not like one size fits all, so to speak.
Exactly.
How do you personally apply this method in your life?
That's been really interesting, Veronica, and I it took almost 4 years to research and write my book, and during that time, I experienced the 12 core woundings and vulnerabilities of Chiron. I went through experiences where I was neglected and experienced an abandonment, and I went through my mind to really turn over every stone, looking through my own experience of the meaning I made about myself. And as the reader, I invite you into that same kind of inner dialogue with yourself to reflect upon memories where both you felt very loved and memories where you didn't feel loved. And most importantly, the meaning that you made about yourself as a result of those experiences. And so for me, my Chiron is in the sign of Aries, and it speaks to a vulnerability or wounding and my sense of value and worth. And this is the kind of placement where it's a lot of performance based love. And that person who's outwardly successful, as I am, yet I always felt like I had to do more. And I didn't allow myself to enjoy the success I had already achieved. And so my healing work had to do with pausing and learning to do less rather than more and really value myself for qualities of kindness, of generosity, slowing down and letting others give to me, and really learning to value myself without having to give or do. And this is really helpful for those of you who feel like you have to immediately reciprocate. When someone gives you a gift or treats you to an experience, you might have that immediate need. I think women also, Veronica, feel a true desire to give back. And my encouragement to you is to practice pausing to really enjoy what you've been given and see what that brings up for you. If it brings up some fear around, if I don't immediately reciprocate, do I fear that this person might not think well of me or might leave? And then ask yourself, where else I felt this in my life growing up? Was this a pattern? Because Chiron speaks to our patterns that we learn in earlier relationships and play out in our adult lives. I wonder what you think about that.
Now I'm just curious. I'm like, wait, where's the Chiron in my chart?
I would love to help you with that. If you email me, I would love to share that with you.
Okay, absolutely. Would love to look into this because this is definitely a new kind of information. Like I always say, there's so many different healing modalities, there's so many roads that lead to Rome, and they're all very unique. And in every single modality wakes up or awakens something within us that we knew. A lot of things that we're learning. We're like, somehow this is familiar. I don't know why, but I don't feel like I'm hearing it the first time. So my human mind hears the first time, the other side of like, yeah, of course, this is, of course. Like there
And
is no
I love,
question.
Veronica, how you highlighted that just now. You and I were speaking before coming live, where you shared about how diverse we are and we are led to different practitioners and modalities. And I love the summit that you're offering because there'll be a resonance for everyone through a practitioner and modality. And I encourage people, even in my book, in the beginning chapters, I speak about making this yours. Take what works for you and leave what doesn't. It's not a cookie cutter approach. Bring your own spirituality, your own belief system, whatever that might be, and filter what I offer through it so it has meaning and value for you.
Thank you for sharing that. You help a lot of people with anxiety and post traumatic stress and a lot of things that become even more accentuated in this time of our evolution. How do you find yourself in this time as you are going through the same ascension process as everyone else, and yet you're wearing this hat of a leader or of a guide to others? How do you clear that doubt? Is this the best way for this particular person? How do you personally align or clear that doubt within yourself?
This is a great question, Veronica, and it's something I seek daily. I begin each morning with meditation and my coffee before I take my phone out of airplane mode because I really want to spend the first few moments with the universe, with my inner self, really connecting through my heart space with a sense of unconditional love, regardless of what's going on in my life, really reaching to feel, even for a few moments, that all is well, that I'm being tended to. I ask for guidance and I offer thanks and gratitude. And I find that by doing that each morning for quite a few years now, it helps me to be able to stay in harmony and balance and actually asking, what do I need each day? And today, knowing that we were speaking, I just meditated, ran just a couple of easy errands because I wanted to be present and available and just trying to feel into this audience and the space and be sensitive to what needs to be said and what doesn't need to be said. So I each day kind of prepare myself for what's on the agenda so that I can really show up and be present. I think that's important.
Such a profound statement. And I want to reiterate that one more time. How we begin our day, it truly makes all the difference in finding that balance between our humanness and our light, our energetic part and our physical part. And you said something so important that when you wake up in the morning, first you connect with yourself. And what we do a lot of times, because there's so many like shiny bells and whistles, we wake up and are like, oh, here's the phone, and we allow the world to pour into our hearts before we're even present and ready to
Yes.
take in. And then when we do that, especially first, 30 minutes when you wake up, when we transition to this
Mhm.
realm, so to speak, and you're bombarded with a flood of information that you didn't choose necessarily, because when you open your phone, you don't know what's going to come. You don't know what message or email or anything that is going to come in, and then you allow that to affect and kind of like take your day whatever that needs to go versus what you choose. So it's very important what Lisa is sharing with you is when you wake up, give yourself that 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you can allow in your day to be present with you, to connect with you, to do that meditation. And you said coffee. I'm thinking like two extremes. I'm meditating, and then coffee gets me into that, like, okay, let's go.
I hear you. And Veronica, I love the way you said that because what you're speaking about is the balance between energy and matter, the two forces in our lives, that we are made of both energy and matter, as is our world. And even when you spoke about the emails and not knowing exactly the emails we might receive or the text messages, I believe and I've learned that through our alignment with source energy, with universal mind, with however you call that energy, that we attract to us. And I ask every day to attract the most wonderful things, the most wonderful emails and text and clients and experiences as I go about my day, and really intending that. And that I'm also aware and present with those I interact with in a positive way, that your life starts to take on this truly energetic way of moving through it where good things happen rather than bad things. And when something unexpected happens, say like a flat tire or an unexpected event, there's the means immediately to solve it. And I ask to align with the energy of solution as well. The energy of the solution has a different vibration than the problem. And so to really be in that higher mind, to see solutions versus problems. And I love helping clients with that as well. Align with the solution that they're seeking versus becoming more mired in problems or issues. That's the
Absolutely.
energy piece.
Yeah, because as long as we tell the same story, we're just continuing staying in the same energy versus when we think like, okay, what is the lesson here? What is the solution? We automatically take control of our wheel. We begin to drive our
Yes.
own bus, right? Because we become
Yes.
responsible. Okay, what is the solution? What is the lesson? How can I make the best out of the situation? I love that you say, like, in a moment of crisis, like when things don't go right, just take that moment and ask yourself to be aligned with the best solution that is out
Yes.
there.
Yes.
That's a very ballsy ask, and that is something that we all need to learn on how to ask, because our spirit guides, our angels, whichever form you're working with light workers or the consult team that you have, they're waiting for us to
They are.
ask, right?
Yes.
It's
Yes,
like,
Veronica, we can ask our ancestors. I ask my ancestors. I ask for the intelligence of alien intelligence, nature's intelligence, the intelligence of animals, just everything to serve and be with me and guide and help, and they're just so ready and available. I start to feel my heart kind of vibrating with this possibility, and that's when I know I'm right there, and we only need to reach that spot even a few moments each day for it to make a difference in our lives. It doesn't have to be all day long, just to have that experience in a moment. And that really shifts your outcomes, and you'll start to see that unfold in your life.
take that moment for yourself because you deserve it. Take that deep
Yes.
breath, connect, and ask your angels, your guidance, universe, whichever you work with, for the best solution, for the best outcome, for the best that is for you. Because
Yes.
they're here to help, they're here to guide us. And there's so many souls that haven't been reincarnated yet. And when I work with my group, like every time I get guidance to upgrade them to more spirit guides, because there's so many souls and they're eager to help.
Eager.
All we got to do is ask, let go of the doubt, the disbelief, and get out on our own way.
And I like what you're saying about the doubt and disbelief. One of the ways that I work with that as it comes up is I notice when I start to feel doubtful, and I ask myself, what are you thinking about, Lisa? And I notice I might be going too specific on a certain topic to where my beliefs might not have caught up with my desire. They're not quite in the same place. And so I'll kind of scale back or zoom out and go more general with it instead of, say, a specific experience I want to have in the area of a relationship, for example. I'll zoom out or back into I'd like to have a positive romantic relationship. I'd like to have a really loving romantic relationship versus more specifics about that. And I back out of it until I start to feel more possibility like, oh, yeah, I can see that happening. I can feel that happening, even with finances as well. If identifying a specific amount of money gets you kind of tangled up in yourself, zoom out into abundance, into more than enough for me, and the best case scenario happening, just something you feel like you actually believe, and that makes it different than positive thinking. Sometimes we say positive things we don't believe, and that doesn't have as much attracting energy as the statements we truly believe that might be more general. That magnetizes to you what you want.
Oftentimes, I hear stories where somebody comes across any form of healing modalities and it works so well for them that they want to give the same gift to everybody else. And they're like, referring somebody else, or we're buying the gift sessions or something like that. I want to hear if you have a story of a complete disbeliever that didn't want nothing to do with your work and it turned out to be one of the biggest miracles.
That's a really good question, Veronica. What comes to mind, because I resonate with what you're saying. I've been in that spot, even with my little sister this year, gifting her a session with a medium that I love and was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be awesome for you. And my sister was like, I don't want it. That doesn't resonate at all. And so I know what you mean. If it doesn't resonate, it's not going to be effective. And in my work, yes, that's actually happened since I've been speaking on my book for the past couple of years in interviews. When an interviewer sometime hears that this work has to do with astrology as the diagnostic point, finding where Chiron is in your birth chart, I can see them tune out. It's like the switch goes off and almost kind of like, okay, seriously, Lisa, like we're really talking astrology as a healing modality. And typically, it's been in every case, I've actually had that guest Chiron placement. I've looked it up and I share because I see kind of the light bulb go out. And I was like, you know what? If it's okay, I'd like to talk a bit about your Chiron. And I can see their eyes just like get big because I'll be able to hone in on things specific sometime that they're like, I don't even know how she knows that because I didn't tell you. And it's like a light bulb goes off. And it's an opportunity to be able to share that I believe we wrote our lives, Veronica, before we came in to live our lives. And it's taken me a long time to get to this place of understanding, but that we are the architect of our lives. And we wrote our Chiron placement, we wrote everything in our lives that we are experiencing. And now, in our physical form, still being energy, we can change and shape our destinies. We get to say we're the architects. And so, based on our growth and expansion and ascension, as we learn, we can create differently. And so, it's been a delight to see people literally change in an interview from feeling very skeptical, like almost like this is gimmicky, to having an experience of, wow, like that's the issue I've been working on and still haven't really resolved it. So, I hope that's a good enough example.
Yes, absolutely. Because I find it very interesting. And I truly believe that you have to be open, or where every cell in your body has to be like, okay, this is my time and this is my person. This is what I want to experience versus when we get thrown of like, oh, you should try this because it's the best.
Yes.
But when we do that, it's like recommending a restaurant, recommending your favorite, dessert or whatever. Like
Yes.
we love to share what feels good, especially when you are on a journey and you're trying to come up with a solution or find something. You come across a person that just shines that light on your journey, and it's that aha moment that completely pivots the direction of your life. And when you experience that, you want the whole world to
You
experience. They're
do.
like, "Oh my god, I've lived under my rock for 30 years. Like,
Yes.
thank you."
Thank you. It's so much gratitude and giving from that overflow. So don't stop that. Just if the person isn't ready to receive, it's okay. They're going to see you being lit up and happy, and you keep shining and being yourself. And you'll draw the people meant to hear what's happened for you, to share that with them.
Mm, very interesting question coming through. If you were to see yourself 10 years from now, what would that version of you share with you right now?
It's interesting you ask me that because I've been trying to feel into the answer to that question in my meditations in the last several weeks. And I'm not quite sure what she would tell me yet. Besides, right now, I hear her saying how proud she is of me and how easy it's been all along. The answers have been here. They're within my sight, within my ability to connect with them and to ease, like just have some more ease and trust more. For me, it's really been, Veronica, about trusting that the path is appearing under my feet. I don't have to be worried about that. So I hear her saying, just really encourage me, almost like hands on my shoulders, like, it's okay. We've got you. You've got this. And just feel more ease as I embark into these next 10 years.
And you mentioned a very profound one, and I can sense the collective when it comes to trust, especially if you're in a path of if you're an empath, a light workers, healer, coach. You obviously picked a childhood which was probably tougher than others. And it's like, okay, you pick this family and you pick this experiences, and to our humanness are very tremendously painful. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden, as you embark on this journey, you're supposed to completely surrender, let go, and trust.
Hmm.
How do you transition? That's a tough one when trust caused you all this pain, right? Trusting, people around you, things around you that have caused you pain. How can you embrace the very thing that caused you pain in the first place on the human level? How do you do that?
Such a beautiful question. And the answer lies with shifting trust from outside of yourself to inside of yourself and learning to trust your own intuition, which is your guidance system, which is speaking to you through your body, through your thoughts, through what you're led to feel a yes to, and what you feel like no, or kind of a pushback or an avoidant type energy, to learn to honor and listen to that part of yourself that feels avoidant of someone or something, instead of talking yourself out of that because it doesn't make sense, to listen, to honor your intuition. Because I've realized as I look back, my intuition had always been speaking to me. I just talked myself out of it because of the messages in our culture to be a nice person, do as much as you can, give even if you're over giving, versus saying no or not right now, or I'd love to do that at another time. I'll get back to you, really honoring what you need for yourself. And our guidance system will literally take us exactly where's most like happy and successful for us and keep us away from the pain that we've experienced in our past. I didn't understand my guidance system as a younger person, and I trusted so much in placing my value and worth outside of myself into others that are older or wiser or in authority, instead of I always knew what was yes and what was no. So now I trust myself, regardless of a person's position or education, or, I'm the source of directing my life. And I encourage my clients as well to really develop your intuition as your guidance system and honor what comes up, a yes or a no, and stop fighting that to really, really go with your
Hmm.
guidance. How do you see this?
So go with the flow instead of fighting it. For me personally, that's been a big one, trusting. I didn't used to trust. I wouldn't let people close because going through such emotional pain as a child, I had to like close off and kind of
Hmm.
build those walls around my heart. As long as you keep people a certain distance, you can never truly get hurt. And I remember when my boyfriend and I decided to connect and begin this journey together, the first thing that he said to me is like, "Can you trust me?" And I just remember like crocodile tears
Yeah.
going down my cheeks, because for the first time in my life, I realized that I was holding on to that protection, or the idea that I need to protect myself, protect my energy, protect whatever it is that I was protecting myself. And
Hmm.
to just completely let go of that control and fall, like I always imagine like if that rock star on stage and you just like fall back, and you
Yes.
trust that the audience, that your guidance, that your spirit guides are going to hold you.
Hmm.
And for me personally, that was one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn. It's like, okay, can I trust another being that he has the best interest in mind just like I do?
Mhm.
Can I open that up? Because when you open to trust, all the walls, you're vulnerable. You're literally surrendering. You're saying, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I am.
Yes,
Take me on the ride." And the most amazing thing is that when you trust the guidance gets stronger, the intuition gets stronger,
it
and it
does.
becomes more powerful. It becomes easier.
It does.
I
Uh,
always say, I'm like, all I have to do right now is just show up, because things
yes.
come through as I allow it, and my life became so much easier.
Mhm. And what I was going to add is that when we open ourselves to trust and say if it doesn't work out, if we do end up feeling betrayed, being hurt, the I also know that now I'm able to cope with that. I have the skills to love myself through it, to gain understanding, and that it's okay. I can do this. I can open and close my trust progressively if needed versus going all in, just completely open-hearted, and maybe I choose to do that at times, but that I'm going to be able to navigate relationships. I'm going to be able to trust. And again, by listening to my guidance and my heart. And if something happens that hurts my feelings, I'm also going to know how to navigate that to heal.
If you're listening to this right now, and it's very important because I resonate to this, remember the first time you fell in love, or the first time your heart got hurt. It probably
Hmm.
took you a long time to recover from that. But then the
Yes,
second time it became easier because you learned some tools, you maybe spoke with some friends, maybe you found a therapist, you found somebody to hold your hand and help you through this transition. And as you realize our heart is one of the strongest muscles that we have.
it is.
And somehow, some way, we lost the belief or the trust that we can handle all of this. If we weren't able to handle it, things wouldn't show up in our lives. We're much stronger than we think. And now we have all the tools, the bells and whistles to snap out of whatever we're feeling so fast.
And I think it's because we truly find ourselves. We
Mhm.
develop a relationship with ourselves, with our inner self, and with the younger ages we might have been, like the little one inside, the little girl or boy that was betrayed, and to speak to that inner self, like I've got you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry they hurt your feelings like this, and really connecting with the parts of you that need to hear those affirming and loving messages is how we can move ourselves through some of the wounds of our past instead of glossing over them and pushing them away, but then they repeat sometime at even a larger scale, to really go in there and speak loving kindness to yourself.
It's very important what you said because the first step is when the little child in us is hurt is to acknowledge it. Because a lot of times what we do is, oh, that's not important, or da-da-da, da-da-da, like because that's the stuff that we learned from our family members, from people around. But if you just acknowledge, hey, it's okay what you're feeling,
Mhm.
just acknowledging, because a lot of times all we want to do is be heard.
Yes.
One of the main reasons people even think for the first time, hey, I'm open to therapy, is allowing yourself to be acknowledged that it's okay to feel that pain, that it's not
Yes.
crazy. And when you shine that light, you halfway healed already because now you're aware of it.
Exactly. To really have that unconditional love for yourself is what I talk about in my book, and self forgiveness, to forgive yourself for everything. And it's progressive. We're so hard on ourselves, thinking it helps us to change and grow. It just really solidifies our criticism and judgments versus, okay, you know what? I forgive myself for trusting that person. I forgive myself for maybe seeing some signs, but wanting them anyway. You're just wanting love. There's nothing wrong with your desire. And to bring yourself to a place of true compassion for yourself can help you have some of the wisdom needed to navigate relationships next time around. There'll always be opportunity to grow, to show yourself your growth and strength, and there'll always be opportunities to relate and have love and connection when you're
Mhm.
open and ask for them.
And there'll always be an opportunity to make every day your best day ever, just like you begin
Yes.
your day.
Yes, I asked for that. I told my cats, "Today's the best day of our lives." And I really took a moment to feel it, to feel as if. So it's not just words. Again, the words connecting with your emotions, that's what powerfully creates and manifests in our lives, those connections together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the method, Hawaiian method, Ho'oponopono, where you just say the words,
Yes.
I love you, please forgive me, thank you, I'm sorry. And what was taught is that you don't necessarily have to feel it, but you say it many times. The vibration of those words are eventually going to trigger something within you, bring you to that energy level to attract whatever it is that you're asking for, or channel the love, whatever it is you're asking for. What if you could wake up in the morning and as an inner child healing, you say that to the little girl, the little boy in me?
Oh, that's beautiful.
I
Yes.
love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. If I was
Thank
unconscious in
you.
any way and disregarded your feelings and what's important
That's
to you.
beautiful.
Wow. This is, we just co created this together. Thank you, angels.
Yes. Wow.
Oh, this is magical. I am so looking forward to experiencing a journey with you. What would you like to share with us today?
I would love to lead in meditation for a few moments, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, let's, wherever you are, if you can, close your eyes.
Thank you for the beautiful journey. It was very interesting when you said that this animal comes in. I still don't know what the animal was specifically for me, but it was this wild, almost like a African type of looking animal. I don't know what it is, just this fluffy hair, kind of like tiger size.
Yes.
And as the animal bow, just like, what we need you to do is help the human species be kind to the animal kingdom. And which is interesting because the first thought that came to me, I'm like, well, every person that I know that has pets, they love them even more than other fellow humans. They're like, we're not talking about pets, we're talking about any animal life, because it's interesting, we made contracts, and we didn't just make contracts with other fellow human beings, also with animals. And a lot of times we come in and we kind of like wipe the area, and we're like taking over the place. And even when you do something small, like killing a mosquito or whatever, that's still alive. Or you when you go to a restaurant and you eat that meat, what they're asking me to share is to simply acknowledge that the life was worth something. So let's
Mm,
say next time you go and eat chicken, instead of just thinking like, oh, it's good, it's bad, they made it this way, it's like acknowledge that chicken because that was a
thank you.
soul that was reincarnated
Yes.
for however long, that as a circle of life now becomes part of you. How many times do we take the time to just acknowledge, or even when you kill that mosquito because it's biting you and somehow, you do it as a form of protection, whatever, to say, I acknowledge you. Thank you. I'm
Yes.
sorry I had to take your life away. So just the simple acknowledgement of the animal kingdom, because we are very important, but we're not the only species and the only beings that have a soul
Right.
reincarnated in it.
Yes. I
Interesting
think that's
message. Thank you
beautiful.
for this. I think that was a
Thank you
message
for
that
that. I have been on that journey, Veronica, of yes, thanking when I eat my meal, saying thank you to the animal. Thank you for your life. Thank you for your nourishment. And even the bugs, wishing like you're in heaven, seeing you in bliss, like acknowledging that what I just did to kill a mosquito is like your life is important. Exactly how you said it so beautifully. And just being more
mm,
conscious and aware of even the smallest of creatures and their importance in our ecosystem and in our lives.
and that's such an important self-healing tool, because imagine a world where you express gratitude for everything that goes in your body. So it doesn't matter what was the circumstances of that meal becoming a meal, the stress and all that, but the moment you express gratitude and you acknowledge that, the energy of the food changes.
Mhm.
Therefore, how you're going to feel changes. It's a beautiful world.
It is. Thank you for that piece. It's beautiful.
That's such a gift if you get a chance to enjoy this journey and see what animal spirit comes to you and what message shows up in your life. Then make sure you go through this journey as part of your VIP ticket with Lisa. It's very, very powerful and so unique. I haven't experienced a connection with animals like that.
Actually, neither it's the first time this has come through for me, and I just trusted it's what needs to be said. I felt it so strongly, and usually that's not yeah, it's new for me too. So I just went with what I heard them saying through me.
Oh, and that is the beauty and the magic that happens when we truly surrender to our guidance, when we just show up and get our own way. I'm in Bangkok at this moment, and as we're filming this interview, it's like 2 a.m. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? Because
Yes.
I slept like 3 hours for the past several days. So I'm still
Wow.
like trying to catch up with it. Then somehow, some way, I simply showed up and allowed the magic to come through, and we truly are miraculous on anything that we can create in our life as long as we come from a loving place of our heart, from the place that truly connects every single one of us. This is what we connect with, that light, that loving energy that flows through all of us, that makes us one. We're all part of
Yes.
the same tribe. It's just such a beautiful journey. It's been such a pleasure to connect with you. In conclusion, is there something else you want to share with our soul tribe? If there's someone watching you right now and they're like, you know what, I've done therapy, I've done this, I've done Reiki, I've done all of that, and somehow I still don't find the answer, what would you say to them?
I would say to maybe stop looking outside of yourself. I sense that's been exhausting for you to look within and pause and put your hand over your heart and just ask, what is needed here? What is the most loving thing for me? And notice what comes up and follow that guidance because you are important and seen. And there is a way.
So beautiful, so profound. You are important, you're seen, you're heard, you're understood. And if a part of yourself tells you, no, that's not the case in my life, then begin with you. Are you hearing yourself? Do you understand or understand yourself? Do you acknowledge yourself? Do you ask the little girl and the little boy in you, what is it that I need today to have the best day ever? And truly
Yes.
shine the light, because, like Lisa said, you are important. How you begin your day is how your day will go. And go inwards to find those answers instead of looking outwards. Such profound wisdom, such amazing sharing. And if you are like, I've never heard of Chiron. I want to know what that is in my charts. I want to know why I'm the way I am so I can have a better understanding of what makes me me and what can I do to superhumanize myself. Then reach out to Lisa and follow this journey if every cell in your body calls you to. Thank you so much, beautiful angel. I'm giving you the biggest hug. And one day I'll make it to New Orleans and try some amazing soul food.
I'd love to take you out for it. This is an honor. Thank you, Veronica,
Mm,
and love to all of you.
thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow.